You know, when a real disaster strikes, you see some organizations just completely crumble, while others somehow seem to emerge even stronger. What's the difference? Well, it's not luck. It's all about preparation. In this explainer, we're going to break down the critical art of crisis management and show you how to get ready for the truly unthinkable.
To really get a feel for how high the stakes are, let's just walk through a scenario. Something that could happen at pretty much any company on any given day.
So, picture this. XYZ Corporation. They're a huge name in the tech world, known for being on the cutting edge. I mean, they're a giant with a massive customer base and a rock-solid reputation. And business, it's absolutely booming.
And then, just like that, in a single instant, everything changes.
It's a massive cyber attack, and it's a sophisticated one. Hackers have gotten into their systems, and they've got their hands on, well, everything. We're talking customer data, financial records, all the company's secrets. And before the internal team can even figure out what's going on, the news is already public. The hackers are out there threatening to release it all if they don't get what they want. The company is, for all intents and purposes, in a complete freefall.
So let's put you in that manager's chair. The phones are blowing up, the stock is tanking, and literally the whole world is watching. What's your first move? What do you do?
That chaotic, nightmare scenario really brings us to the heart of our topic today. It highlights a fundamental choice that every single organization has to make. Are you going to be a firefighter, or are you going to be a fire inspector?
First off, let's get on the same page about what a crisis actually is. A crisis isn't just a bad day, you know? It's any event that threatens the very foundation of a company, its people, its business, its reputation, and of course, its bottom line.
This brings me to a really powerful metaphor. Think about the firefighter, the hero, right? Rushing into the burning building. They're reactive. They get the headlines for their bravery. But then, you've got the fire inspector. They work quietly, behind the scenes, every single day to make sure that fire never even starts. Their proactive work, it goes completely unnoticed, but it saves so much more in the long run.
Now look, when the alarm bells are ringing and things are literally on fire, you absolutely need that firefighter's quick, decisive action. But real strategic crisis management, that is the fire inspector's job. It's all that quiet planning and foresight that can stop the disaster before it even begins.
So this really forces us to think about crisis management differently. It's not just about reacting well under pressure. It's the art of avoiding trouble in the first place and having a rock-solid plan to minimize the damage when trouble is just unavoidable.
So how do we become that fire inspector? Well, you start by understanding that crises aren't just random bolts from the blue. They actually follow a pretty predictable life cycle, which gives us a kind of roadmap to prepare.
See, almost every crisis, it doesn't matter if it's a data breach or a natural disaster, it usually moves through 4 distinct stages. And if you know these stages, it gives you the power to step in and control the narrative.
So the life cycle kicks off with the pre-crisis stage. Think of this as the warning signs, the smoke before the fire. This is your golden opportunity to spot risks and get a plan in place. Then boom, you hit the acute stage. The crisis is here, it's intense, it's public, and your only goal is to control the immediate chaos. After that initial storm, you enter the chronic stage. This is the long, slow grind of the cleanup, repairing damage, dealing with investigations, rebuilding trust. This can take months, sometimes even years. And finally, you have resolution. A well-managed crisis doesn't just fizzle out, it resolves. This is where you can actually come out stronger, having turned a huge challenge into an opportunity for real growth.
Okay, so having a framework is obviously essential, but we have to be realistic here. This isn't some simple paint-by-numbers exercise.
Because at the end of the day, crisis management is so much more of an art than it is a science. There's just no magic formula, no single checklist that can guarantee you'll come out of it perfectly okay.
And why is that? Well, just think about it. The number of things that can go wrong is practically infinite. You could have an environmental spill, a massive lawsuit, a defective product, an employee who goes rogue. Each one of those needs a totally unique response. A plan for one is not going to work for another. And that's why being adaptable, using human judgment, that's just as important as any playbook you write beforehand.
This all leads us to the ultimate and frankly unavoidable truth about dealing with crises in any kind of organization.
The stakes just couldn't be any higher. And this isn't just about protecting profit margins or stock prices. A real commitment to crisis management is a commitment to protecting people. The public you serve, the employees who count on you, and the very organization you've worked so hard to build.
And we really don't have to look far for proof. Horrific events like the Deepwater Horizon disaster show us that the consequences of being unprepared aren't just theoretical. They can be absolutely catastrophic on a global scale.
Think about it for a second. The Exxon Valdez, the Challenger explosion, Union Carbide and Bhopal. These names have become legendary, right? But they're permanently linked in our collective memory not for all the things they did right, but for how they handled their single darkest hour.
It all comes down to one powerful, simple truth. This is maybe the single most important takeaway here. If you do not actively manage the crisis, it will, without a doubt, manage you. There is absolutely no middle ground. Which brings us right back to where we started. That perfect Monday morning that suddenly explodes into a nightmare. You see, a crisis isn't a matter of if it will happen, but when. So the only real question left is, will you be the firefighter, just reacting to the chaos, or will you be the fire inspector, ready with a plan?